Hi, ladies and gentlemen. I am going to do a quick lecture on how to complete an assignment that we are going to be working on. Um, and I want to make sure everyone has the proper information on how to complete this assignment. So I'm going to ask you to open up. Hi, ladies and gentlemen. I just wanted to do a quick lecture so that I could go through an assignment with you. And make sure that everybody has the same information on how to complete this assignment. So to do this, I'm going to first ask you to go to Schoology. We'll go to Schoology. We're going to go to week 11, and we're going to open up this prison research assignment. And when you open up the prison research assignment, it's going to look something like this. Now, if you scroll down, it's going to look like a lot of material here. And I don't want anybody to panic on this. That's why I'm going through this in great detail for you. So once you get it open, the first thing you're going to need to do is you're going to need to open this link. And this link will take you to a website that looks like this. This is the Minnesota Department of Corrections. This is their prison website. And so I want to go through this so we have an idea of what we're looking at. So the first thing on the assignment that I want to point out is that you're going to be looking at the following Minnesota prisons: Faribault, Oak Park Heights, Rush City, St. Cloud, Lino, Shakopee, Stillwater, and Moose Lake. Please be aware that you are not going to be looking at Willow River, Red Wing, or Togo. So if we go back to the adult facility, those are all in here. We're not doing Willow River, we're not doing Togo, and we're not doing Red Wing. And there's reasons why, but I just wanted to keep this strictly to the prison system, and these operate a little differently. So we're not including those in the research here. Okay, I'm on the wrong one. All right, so the first questions are literally going to ask you questions about this first page. Questions like, how many custody levels are there in the Minnesota correction system? So I'm going to go back to here, and my answer is right in front of me. There are 4 levels of custody classification in the state of Minnesota. So I've given you the first answer here. That answer is 4. Okay. Then it's going to say which 3 listed above. This is where some of you are going to get in trouble, is because you are going to include these 3 that I have specifically said don't include. Have prisons, which 3 Minnesota prisons have a minimum custody classification? So I can go back here and I can see there they are, the Minnesota classification of minimum security: Stillwater, Lino, Faribault, Togo, Willow River, and Red Wing. Now keep in mind, we're not doing Togo, Willow River, and Red Wing. Those are not the answers. So if I go back to my sheet, there's 3 spots. I'm going to put in Stillwater, Lino Lakes, and Faribault. If we're wondering where these prisons are located, Faribault is in the southern part of the state of Minnesota. Our farthest north, Togo, is a whole different process. I don't even want to go into Togo. Moose Lake, Willow River are the farthest north. Our farthest west is St. Cloud. And then we have a whole bunch in the metro area. So just to have an idea of where these prisons are located. So for the remainder of these questions, you are going to find the information on this page. You won't have to go anywhere else for that information but to look on this particular page. Questions like, which ones have medium custody? Which ones have closed custody? Which ones have the maximum security custody? Which Minnesota prison has all levels of classification and why? Going back to this, the answer is all on this page. I cannot provide you any more direction on how to find those answers. Okay. Now I'm going to tell you, please do not start this, because what's going to happen is I'm going to go through the next section and some of you are going to have worked on this and you're going to miss the directions for how to do the next part. This is critical. So I'm going to ask you to stop what you're doing and take a peek at where I'm going to show you how to do this. So I'm going to look up a number of questions. If you talk to students from other terms, there were a lot more questions to go through. These are a little bit different. So we're going to look at each of those prisons again, and we're going to answer some questions for all of them. So we're going to start with Faribault. Now I'm going to go back to my website, and I'm going to pull up Faribault, and it's going to take me to a page that looks like this. And every one of these prisons that you're going to open up are going to have similar pages that you're going to need to look at. But I'm going to go through Faribault with you. To find all the information you need to complete this chart, again, I hope you're listening because this is critical. To find all the information to this chart, you are going to need to go to, on each one of these prison pages, this daily inmate profile information. Okay, you're going to be able to open that up and it is going to take you to a page that looks like this. I'll take that down a little bit. And it is going to provide you a whole bunch of data about what's going on in this one prison. This is just Faribault. And you will notice that there's a date on there. Every morning they have to update this information. Now, the first question you're going to be asked, how many offenders are currently at this facility? Now, be careful on this because it's going to give you a number, and this first number says this is the care responsibility of Faribault. Don't put the first number. Faribault has a total of 1,917 adult offenders currently at this facility. Now, I'm not going to fill this in because the information is very likely to change. So I'm showing you where to find this information. I'm not giving you the information because by the time you complete this from when I made this video, these numbers may change. So please do not put this information down because I just want to show you where you can find this information. So this is where I would find for every one of these prisons, it is going to be the same location. So if I want to go to Lino, I'm going to open up Lino. I'm going to go to the daily inmate profile report, and I'm going to find something that looks the same as Faribault does, but it's going to have different numbers. So keep in mind, you are going to be opening up PDFs for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different prisons to fill in this information. So that's the first box. The next question says, how many juveniles are at this site? So I'm going to go back to the PDF and I'm going to look up how many juveniles. We've covered this. Juveniles are those under the age of 18. So we have a category here. There are no juveniles at Faribault. Okay, that is not going to be true of all the prisons. There will be, I think, 2 prisons that have juveniles. So in this box, I'm going to, if I were doing this right now, I'd put in 0. But I'm not filling it in for you. I'm just showing you where the information is. The next category is what percentage. This is key. Don't give me a number. I want a percentage. What percentage of inmates are 18 to 25? Okay, I'm going to go back to this page. I've got a category for 18 to 20, and I have one for 20 to 25. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to add these 2 numbers. Please be careful because it is specifically asking for percentages. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to look at, I don't want you to put in 138 because there is no 138%. I'm asking you in this box to add these 2 numbers and get 7%. So 7% of the inmates at this facility are between the ages of 18 and 25. Okay. The next one says, what percentage of inmates are 56 and over? Going back, here's 56 and over. I'm not adding 193 and 90. I'm adding 10 and 5% because the question says, what percentage of inmates are 56 and over? You're going to add the two numbers. Okay. Every one of the forms that you pull up for all of these prisons are going to show you something similar. Okay. So you're going to have to go through these one by one. The next box says, what percentage of inmates hold a diploma or a GED? Okay, so they've met the basic requirements for high school. I'm going to go back. I'm going to look for education. Here's my box with education. They're all in the same locations on each of the prison sites. At Faribault, 82% of the inmates have a verified high school diploma or GED. I'm going to put that percentage in this box, depending on what it is the day that you take the information down. Next box says how many inmates are at this location, how many inmates at this location are serving certified adult sentences. These are individuals who committed crimes where they went through the adult certification process so that they were not charged as juveniles, they were actually charged as adults for their crime. Right here, under sentence information, number of offenders serving certified adult sentences. On the day that I'm looking at this, 19 of the 1,917 adults at this prison, 19 of them are there. They committed a crime as a juvenile, but they were tried as an adult, and now they are serving their adult sentence. Now, we can assume that because there are 19, they're in this population, but none of them are there under the age of 18. So all of them are 18 or older, but they're there because they committed a crime as a juvenile and were certified as an adult. The next one says how many inmates at this site are serving EJJ sentences, extended jurisdiction juvenile sentences. Okay, these are kids who committed a crime, were given that dual sentence. Here's your juvenile sentence, here's your adult sentence. If you can complete the juvenile sentence, we're good. If you can't, the adult sentence is imposed. So looking at this, how many of these are under that same process? How many offenders are serving extended juvenile jurisdiction sentences? 4 at this point. 4 individuals at that prison had been given a chance to serve as a juvenile, didn't complete their requirements, and then ended up having to do their adult sentence. Okay? Next one, how many inmates at this site are serving sentences of life without parole? Okay, I'm probably going to look in the same place. Be careful because one says with the possibility of parole, you're looking for the one at the bottom. There are 2 people at this prison at the time that I'm looking at this information committed crimes where they will never leave a Minnesota prison alive. They have no possibility of being paroled from prison in their lifetime. Okay? Now, if you haven't paid attention, here would be a good place to look up. The next 2 columns are talking about the most active sentence. Considering all the offenses of these inmates, which offense has the most active sentence? And then the next column says second most. Going back to my form, I'm going to go to the second page. The second page lists all the crimes that these individuals committed that they are serving time for. So I'm going to go through this list, and they're not in order. Be very aware of this. You're going to have to take your time on this. Which one has the most active sentences? Okay, I'm going to look through this, and I'm going to start scrolling through my numbers. So I see a 692. Do I have anything bigger than 692? Nope. So the most active sentences is criminal sexual conduct with 692 active sentences. Okay. Now, one individual could have more than one sentence, but at this prison, the inmates that are serving 692 criminal sexual conduct charges have been put against these men. And then I'm going to go to the second most. So 692 was first. I'm going to scan through and look what's next. I got a 307. Is there anything higher than 3? Yep, here's 520. So 520 looks to be the second highest. I'm going to put in this second box drugs. So I'm going to go through every one of the prisons, and I'm going to do just like I just showed you. I'm going to go through and how many offenders. Remember, I'm looking at the second number, not looking at the first. And I'm going to go through. These two will catch you because they're not asking for how many inmates. They're asking what percentage of inmates. Okay? So you're going to do that for all of these. There are 8 of them. You're going to go through and you're going to fill in this information. Once you have answered the questions on the prisons, again, all that information can be found on the first page. Okay, all that information's here. The second page, you're going to have to go into the links that say, let me go back. Links that say Daily Inmate Profile Report. You're going to look up 8 of those. Once you finish that, then you can go through and answer the questions that come with. First question is, what do the numbers reflecting the certified adult sentences in the chart above tell us about the offenders and the crimes they committed? Go back and look up what certified adult means. Or I may have already given you that information. What do the numbers reflecting EJJ sentences in the chart above tell us about the offender and how they ended up in prison? What do we know about the people and their crimes who are serving life without the possibility of parole? Next question says, based on the U.S. Department of Education statistics, 55% of incarcerated people have achieved a high school diploma or GED. Compare this statistic to the data you researched above. What comparisons can you make? So this one is going to look at what percentage of inmates hold a diploma or a GED. The next one says, considering the data you researched, what is the most common offense by individuals in the Minnesota prison? What are the most common offenses by individuals in the Minnesota prisons? And I've given you a spot for 3. 3 of them are going to repeat over and over and over. There's a couple that get thrown in there, but there are 3 that are going to be the most dominant of the offenses. Then you have a small section of 4 questions that pertain to these charts below. Okay? So the first question says, which prisons in Minnesota have higher percentages of 18 to 25-year-old inmates compared to the data in the chart? The youngest and oldest people in state prisons found below. So I'm going to go below and I'm going to examine this chart. And I'm going to then compare it to the data that I have created here. And I'm going to make a comparison. Which prisons have a higher percentage of the 18 to 15-year-old inmates compared to the chart? And I'm going to do the same thing with the 56 and over group. And I'm going to compare it to this column to make sure that I'm able to make a fair comparison. But be careful. This is also higher. Okay. The next one says, use the information in the chart below. How would you explain the difference between jail and prison to someone who did not know the difference in simple terms? I've given you a chart. You just have to analyze it and explain to me, how would you tell somebody the difference between jail and prison? And then the last one. Look at the last chart. Okay, so I'm going to go all the way down to the last chart. Looks like this. Okay. To interpret this data, consider 100% of people serving time. We're going to look at the whole population. And we're going to say that 68% of 100% of incarcerated people were arrested in their youth. 68% were arrested before the ages of 19. So I'm considering 100% of, and I'm talking all the prisons nationwide, 100% of all people in prison, in jail. No, this is state prisons. All the people in the state prisons across the United States, how many of them did not complete a high school education? How many of the 100% had low income families, homelessness, family disruptions? And I'm going to go back to this last question. It says, family disruption, homelessness, low family income, and educational exclusions are presented. Pick one of these topics and tell me what you can learn about this topic, the data presented in that chart, and what it tells us about U.S. incarceration in the United States. You should be able to make a justified analysis of looking at the data and considering these factors in our current prison population in the United States. Once you are finished with all of this, you may then submit it. So if I go back to this assignment is due no later than 8 a.m. on Tuesday, November 21st. This is a 50-point summative assignment. Okay. This video will be put on, a link will be given to you so that you are more than free to go back and review this video on your own time to get information of how to complete this assignment. You have the rest of the hour to work on this. I cannot stress enough that your points are going to be coming from your answers. You will get points for this chart, but I will know if your answers are correct based on the information in these questions. Okay. Before I go, if there is something that is underlined in red, meaning you have misspelled it, it is your responsibility to make that correction. If you don't make that correction and it is misspelled, I will not grade that question, because spelling is something that is done automatically on here. If you don't know how to do the tools, you go to tools, you hit spelling and grammar check. It will tell you what is misspelled. Again, I cannot stress enough, take your time, do this correctly. And if there are things that are underlined in red, I will not grade them, because that is a simple task to make sure the information you are providing me is junior, senior level. And that means you have spell checked and made corrections. So It's not a tough assignment. It's just one that's going to take you different parts and time to do. So, good luck. And remember, this is due on Tuesday, November 21st by 8 a.m. It is worth 50 points. If you don't turn it in, I can't give you a grade. We've done this long enough. You know how this works. So good luck. Take your time. I know you can do wonderful work. Thank you.